Welcome back, everyone. In part 3 of our series, we continue Deku's journey in a world of women. Let's dive in. I can't believe something like that would happen. Seeing the body, dead, unconscious, he didn't even know what Shigaraki Tomura was. Izuku, when did this happen? Today was supposed to be a good day. Why did this happen? He muttered, annoyed. Aizawa, hey you, who are you? She asked, annoyed while grabbing her bandages. Confused, Izuku turned at the sound of the female voice, then furrowed his brow, causing all the girls present to step back. Izuku, this must be a joke, he muttered, annoyed, watching Aizawa on guard, with the other teachers arriving. Well, don't worry, they're weak here, they don't compare to your. Izuku quickly bent his back as he saw All Might's kick coming towards him, surprising everyone. All Might's attacks weren't something easily stopped. All Might, you're her creation, right? A distraction? What are you planning? She asked, on guard. Izuku, I know what you're thinking, and no. Izuku quickly sidestepped another punch from All Might, but what scared all the students the most was how easily he dodged them. Izuku, would you let me finish? He asked, annoyed. Hey, haha, the battle of disciple and master, he whispered mockingly, it's something very, what the hell? He asked, confused. Izuku, shut up, I'm not done with you yet, he said, annoyed. All Might, your fight is with me, here and now, villain, she shouted angrily. It's been a while since I said that word, she thought. Watch out, All Might. Izuku, you have to listen to me, you muscle-brained bastard, he shouted angrily as a vein popped on All Might's forehead. All Might, am muscle-brained? She thought, annoyed. Izuku, damn it, if this keeps up, they'll see me as the villain. All Might, show your face, she shouted, annoyed. Izuku, huh? Oh, I have my mask. They're right, showing my face would be very harmful. They know I'm a man, but I don't know what would happen if myself from this universe joins me. According to Mei, the possibilities are endless with more likelihood of something bad happening. It's better to stay as I am. Shigaraki, what the hell is going on here? He asked, confused. I was supposed to finish them, but what is this place? This is. At that moment, all the girls almost fell to the ground feeling that presence, so eerie, so terrifying, watching as the guy they thought was dead rose from the ground. Shigaraki, this is the opportunity for a world completely dominated by me, he shouted with a big grin, and all I have to do is eliminate. Izuku, damn it, I let my guard down for a second, he said, annoyed. Shigaraki, to your symbol of. In a 10-second sequence, Aizawa threw Shigaraki to the ground, and before he could touch it, she opened her mouth and spat inside it, and in the position Shigaraki was in, he couldn't avoid swallowing it. Shigaraki, you're crazy, he said, annoyed as he touched his leg, but nothing happened. What? Aizawa, you're Shigaraki Tomura, right? The auras, the form, are very similar. Before you could cause trouble, I eliminated your quirk, from the root. Annoyed, Shigaraki grabbed dust from the ground and threw it into Aizawa's eyes, making her blink. Shigaraki, you're very stupid, woman erase her head, he whispered mockingly. Again, he touched his leg, and again, nothing happened. Aizawa, don't you understand, right? You won't get your quirk back, unless I want you to, and that doesn't matter, how much you blink, she said with a mocking smile on her face. Shigaraki, you're someone surprising, erase her head. Aizawa, and you're someone who will go to prison. Izuku, no. That word, that tone, even left All Might paralyzed for a moment. Izuku, Shigaraki is a villain who won't learn, his whole life will crawl under the feet of All for One, like the rat he is, and if we don't kill him now, he'll be a pain in the ass in the future. Shigaraki, ha, who would have thought? The symbol of peace prefect wanting to kill me. Izumi, what? All Might, did he say? Symbol of peace prefect, they all thought, confused. All Might, what does he mean? Who are you, and where do you come from? She asked, confused. Izuku, I can't say my name, my face, it would be complicated, and something that can't be good might happen. What you need to know is that I'm one of the good guys, All Might, and he's one of the bad guys. All Might, no, who are you? Symbol of peace. Both looked at each other. All Might still couldn't process what was happening, but she wanted to understand why the guy in front of her had her same title, symbol of peace. Izuku, I know you might not believe me, and I understand that, but I am the holder of one for all. I am or was the symbol of peace. All Might, you know that name, yes. But what denies that you're related to All for One? What denies that you're lying? Izuku, the truth is, I don't know. I can only activate the quirk. And just as he said it, small green sparks passed and danced through his hand. Shigaraki just clicked his tongue as Izuku deactivated the quirk. Izuku, from what I can see, you guys are just starting at UA. I remember this. I remember when I broke my finger, throwing this ball. With a nostalgic smile, he looked at the ball on the ground and picked it up. Izuku, how far do you think you can throw, All Might? All Might, I just did a demonstration, 59 kilometers. And he couldn't help but smile slightly with pride. Izuku, all right, if I throw it further than you. And before he could finish, activating one for all, he threw the ball, but not into the sky, he threw it at Shigaraki. And like a bullet projectile, the ball pierced his shoulder, making him start screaming in pain. Izuku, you're lucky. For a moment, I lost track of everything. Son of a bitch, All Might, I don't give a damn if you believe me or not. All I want is to kill this bastard. All Might, the symbol of peace wouldn't kill people. Izuku, the symbol of peace would know what's best for everyone. And if you had killed All for One back then, maybe she would still be alive. Shigaraki, see, come on, symbol of peace, kill me. With a mocking smile, he challenged the boy, who, without hesitation, was getting closer to him. With that suit that looked like a beast's, his hands replaced by gloves that looked like claws, as well as his feet, with his steps, that presence began to impose. Even All Might swallowed a bit forcefully. Izuku, do you think you can act brave until death, Shigaraki? Shigaraki, I don't know. Do you think by killing me, you'll bring back your girlfriend? Shigaraki started laughing mockingly, and under the gaze of all, Izuku simply began to walk towards him. Aizawa was going to stop him, but if she activated her quirk, there was a great chance that Shigaraki would recover his. And between leaving her quirk to a villain or a hero, her choice was wise, but still, she wouldn't let a life be lost. Aizawa, kid, you have to think. If you kill him, you'll go to jail. Izuku, no, I won't go to jail. Aizawa, you don't understand. I don't know how things are where you come from, but... Izuku, no, of course, I know what I'm about to do is a crime, but no matter how many villains I kill, I won't go to jail. Izuku, I want to be your girlfriend. Izuku, because no jail can hold me. At that whisper, everyone could see the power emanating from him, slowly filling his body, that green glow that began to lift the earth and gradually make it tremble. Izuku, it's curious, isn't it, Shigaraki? Shigaraki, curious, you say, kid? Izuku, kid, and we're only 2 years apart, spoiled brat. In a mocking tone, making Shigaraki click his tongue. Izuku, and I tell you it's curious, that scrawny kid, who you almost killed back at the USJ, has become even stronger than All Might. Isn't that your idol? He asked, mocking. Shigaraki, I don't know how you did it, but when I have All for One completely, you'll die. Izuku, Muscular said the same thing, Gigantomachia said the same thing, Bakugo said the same thing. And you know what? The last one is lucky not to be dead. That tone, that voice, that presence, was enough for many girls to fall to the ground out of fear while their legs trembled. Even Katsumi, Shuka, girls who showed great willpower, were on the ground, with small tears due to that pressure. Izuku, you know what they all have in common? Well, the first two with you. That all ended the same way. Dead. Elsewhere. The rain hit his neck more and more as he tried to search for traces of him, but there simply weren't any, they didn't exist. Bakugo, damn it, son of a bitch. He cried on the ground inconsolably, under the indifferent gaze of Kirishima, Shoto, and Kaminari, who at that moment, resisted the urge to cry, simply approaching him. Denki, Bakugo, I think we should stop now, there's nowhere else to look. Our classmates are at Yanagi's funeral. Wouldn't it be better to say a final goodbye? Remember, they're also saying goodbye to Midoriya there. Bakugo, the nerd isn't dead, and if you're not going to help me, you'd better leave. He muttered annoyed while digging more soil, and Shoto, taking a few steps toward him, took one of the shovels and began to remove soil from other places. Kirishima and Kaminari just nodded, and putting away their phones again, they continued to remove soil. Bakugo, they disappeared into the ground. There must be something here that leads us to them. Shoto, yeah, there must be. Those words, those simple words, knowing that someone trusted and helped him, were enough to keep digging, and each time, knowing that they might find something. Back. Vines, bandages, ice, and strength were what they tried to use to stop the boy from advancing, but it was simply useless. His pace, although a bit slow, didn't stop. He was determined to kill him. Izuku, believe me, this is for the best for everyone. From what I see, the forces here are much lower than where I come from. If this guy manages to escape, you won't know what you've gotten yourselves into, so let me kill him. Now. All Might, if you were the holder of One for All, you wouldn't want to kill anyone. Izuku, it's just that I don't want to. I want you to kill Shigaraki Tomura. Can you promise me that? Izuku, I was ordered to do it. And in the distance, a girl was afraid. A quirk capable of sensing people's auras and seeing herself. Seeing the boy had terrified her. Reiko, he killed me? And not just me. She whispered in fear, seeing 8 souls behind him, one very similar to All Might. Reiko, he kills heroes. And at that moment, all the souls turned to look at her, causing Reiko to fall to the ground, trembling in fear. Reiko, you have to get away from him now. Aizawa, but why? Reiko, he's a hero killer. Izuku, what? All Might, I already knew that someone like him couldn't be the holder of One for All. All Might quickly tried to kick him in the side of his head, which Izuku could dodge with some ease, but he fell to the ground due to bandages entangling his legs. He had to turn to the side to avoid a blow from All Might and, closing his eyes for a moment, began to emit a curtain of smoke to free himself from the bandages. All Might, he's beside you. And for Izuku, it was too late when his sense of danger alerted him to the blow that hit him right on the cheek, sending him flying against one of the nets in the courtyard. All Might, thank you, miss. Juramo Shishida. All Might, we'll need you to do what you did in case he uses that technique again. Juramo, yes. And from that net, Izuku only saw the sky, while he heard those heavy footsteps coming closer. Izuku, what should I do, Mom? I'm tired of this. When life wants to hit you hard, you just have to slam the door in its face. Izuku, what a good saying. I wish to die and be with you, to live in peace. Maybe you're with Dad now, and that's why you haven't come back. Maybe you're finally happy, knowing that I became what I always wanted. Is this what I always wanted? I always dreamed of being a hero. But now you're a villain. No, I'm not. You act like one. What did that childhood Izuku say? The childhood Izuku thought being a hero would be absolute happiness. No, the childhood Izuku thought of saving everyone, no matter how difficult the situation. That Izuku is dead. You killed him. From the moment you decided to abandon everyone, to kill the villains, you became stronger, yes, but you're still the same insecure and crybaby as always. That Deku is dead. No, that Deku lives deep inside you, making every wrong decision in your life. Izuku just looked up, seeing himself. Your life, my life, our life, became hell, and this could be the chance to live peacefully again. And you waste it like this. I do it for everyone. And who does something for you? Bakugo asked us to kill each other. Reiko is dead. That idiot there killed her. Here's another Reiko. Here's another chance to be happy. Do you think that other Reiko also wants to love us? Well, we'll have to do the impossible to make her. And what do we do to stop all this? So that at least All Might believes me? You know what to do. Well, thank you for making me see reason, whoever you are. I am the 9th holder of One for All, I am you. Your subconscious controlled by the power itself. Now go, we have a girl to rescue, and still an idiot to deal with. Izuku just nodded, quickly floated away from there, dodging a blow from All Might, but that wasn't all. Using his black whips, he grabbed them all, making it impossible for them to move, and quickly approached All Might. Aizawa didn't know what to do anymore, didn't know if she should take away his quirk, even if it meant giving it back to the villain, but there was no other choice. He would hurt All Might, but before activating her power, Izuku passed by her side, and she saw him. Those green pupils, even without brilliance, she knew them very well. Aizawa, I knew it was you. With a big smile, she shouted as she was released from the black whips and quickly immobilized Shigaraki with her bandages. Izuku, I knew if anyone would recognize me, it would be her, and now you. He placed a hand on his chest and slowly began to close his eyes. All Might, what's happening? Both remained silent, looking at each other, but what no one knew was that neither of them was there. All Might, what is this place? She asked, confused. Izuku, this is the core of One for All, All Might. I would introduce you to the holders, but for some reason, none of them appear, but I could use their quirks. Did you recognize one, right? All Might, my teacher's quirk, float. Izuku, Nana Shimura's quirk, and not only will I use it, but I noticed her, among so many girls. The girl with green hair, she's the 9th, right? All Might, how do you know? Izuku, because I realized something. She. Slowly, under All Might's gaze, she began to remove her mask, those traces of a suit falling on that endless floor, in that place without light, so illuminated by power. All Might, little by little, saw his features, and he realized more and more who the boy was. It's me. All Might, young Izumi. All Might, young Izumi. He removed his hand from his chest, and they both came to their senses. The black whips released their grip on everyone, who all got into a defensive stance. Despite knowing the power they were facing, they wouldn't back down, they would fight to win. All Might, lower your hands, he's an ally. Izuku nodded, turned around, and began walking towards Shigaraki, who was tied up by Aizawa, who stepped aside. Izuku looked down and simply started laughing. Izuku, I love this. Shigaraki, I'm going to kill you, he muttered angrily. Izuku, with your shoulder pierced, tied up, and your quirk nullified, you're so tempting to kill right now. He grabbed Shigaraki's hair and smashed his face against his muddy and bloody boot, the sharp metal points hurting the villain's skin, who could only growl due to exhaustion. Izuku, beg for your life, cleaning up the blood you made me shed, come on. Shigaraki remained silent, lacking even the strength to lift his gaze, and for some reason, that enraged Izuku even more. Izuku, look me in the eyes, come on, he shouted angrily. I want you to see me in the eyes while you beg for your life, so I don't end what's left of your useless and miserable soul. Shigaraki, screw you. Izuku, you know who else is going to be screwed? He grabbed Shigaraki's hair tightly and lifted his face, starting to kick him. Shigaraki's face began to bleed, and the sharp metal of the boy's boots increasingly embedded into his skin, tearing pieces of his face with it, much to his own suffering. Everyone fell silent, starting to cry as they watched the man being pummeled mercilessly. Izuku, are you still alive? Shigaraki just looked at him, sighing heavily, and Izuku slapped him. Izuku, come on, you son of a bitch. Didn't your mommy teach you manners? Too bad, she'll rot with disappointment. Shigaraki, you'll rot, and I'll make sure to cut every part of your stupid body. Izuku, no, you won't anymore. Shigaraki, what will you do, lock me up? Don't joke, Deku, you're just a kid. Your morals won't allow you to do more than this, understand? You can't kill me. Izuku, there's one detail you forget, when you killed my life, I stopped caring about what happens to me. And with a knee, Shigaraki's head exploded. All Might and Aizawa remained silent, and the students fell to the ground horrified by what they had witnessed, Shigaraki's body next to one of his detached eyes falling to the ground, and Izuku's foot took care to crush it. Izuku, I won't leave anything alive of you, he muttered angrily. Moments passed until Izuku's breathing calmed down. He looked at the sky for a moment, shaking his head to try to remove the hair from his face. Feeling his legs gone, he fell to the ground and began to scream. Even though we're the highest point of evolution, every human still has a heart. All Might and Aizawa just nodded, approaching the boy and kneeling in front of him. All Might, we'll take you to the infirmary, okay? Izuku just nodded, his eyes narrowing. For a moment, they all felt a slight breeze, and for that girl, it was more than a breeze. She saw the 7 silhouettes she had seen above him before disappear in a light brighter than gold, disappearing in the wind. At one point, they all turned to look at her. She remained silent, noticing how the silhouettes smiled at her, and they simply disappeared, but she was pulled out of her thoughts by the screams of her classmates, demanding an answer to what was happening. All Might, ladies, please go to your dormitories, we'll talk to you later, but for now, we need to heal the boy, okay? I promise to tell you everything that's happening, but for now, go away, the class day is cancelled for all of you, you all passed the test. Izumi, but All Might. Aizawa, get out of here to your dormitories or you'll be expelled. They took a small step back, and swallowing hard, they nodded, starting to walk towards where they assumed the dormitories would be, as they hadn't even been given instructions yet. They all walked in silence, no one said anything, until one finally spoke up. Katsuki, hey, assholes, is no one going to talk about just seeing a fucking man kill another in front of our eyes, and the heroes instead of arresting him take him to the infirmary? She asked angrily. Setsuna, did you hear what All Might said? He's an ally, I don't know in what sense he is, but if they even forgave him for killing someone, he must be important. For now, Let's just ignore the fact and wait for her to be able to answer later. And in that nervous silence, they all decided to nod and accept not to ask questions. And in UA, a commotion was unfolding. Recovery girl walked beside a stretcher, quickly assessing the boy lying on it. Recovery, shortness of breath and punctured lung, apply pressure to the right side and inject hemoglobin. Various wounds, fractured fingers, exhausted legs, prepare saline solution, he's dehydrated. All Might, I need you to go to the central hospital, bring bandages, as many as you can, alcohol, gauze. This boy is in bad shape, and if we don't treat him quickly, he might die. Now, go. All Might nodded and flew out of the window. Aizawa, who was running alongside him, only glanced back at her. Recovery, good. Both entered the infirmary. Bring me the saline solution, she instructed, and Aizawa nodded. Recovery cut off what remained of the boy's costume, exposing his torso. She cleaned parts of his body with a cloth dampened in alcohol, injected the IVs where the saline solution was directed, filled a syringe with a liquid Aizawa couldn't recognize. After tapping the syringe twice, she injected it into the boy's wrist. She connected monitoring equipment to him and confirmed his heart rate was starting to stabilize. Recovery collapsed into her chair, breathing more calmly. Recovery, good, he's calming down. Now, why the hell do you have a man here? Aizawa, we don't know. He just fell from the sky, hitting a villain who killed someone. Recovery, if you didn't arrest him, it's for a reason. Why? Aizawa, Izumi Midoriya, an exceptional girl with a strong sense of justice. Even though today is her first day, I was present during her entrance exam. She saved as many people as she could, regardless of points. I know she'll go far. Recovery, and what does she have to do with all this? Aizawa, take off his mask so she can see. Recovery nodded, knowing what she would find, but it still surprised her to see him there. Recovery, he's identical to her, even being a man, he has those delicate features. Have you talked to the principal? She might know what to do. Aizawa, not yet. For now, it's better to let him rest. We don't know how long he's been out, and now that I think about it, why did he suddenly collapse? Recovery, from what I could deduce, he was fighting against the villain he killed. The adrenaline must have surged through his body, allowing him to keep moving despite his injuries. And when he killed him, when he realized it was all over, his body collapsed. It's normal in those cases for them to scream from the rush they feel leaving their bodies. According to studies, it's pleasurable. Aizawa, alright, we just have to wait for her to come back with what I asked for so we can finish treating him and let him rest. He said, and Recovery nodded. Recovery, the first day at UA, and look at what we've encountered. Aizawa, don't even mention it. Both remained silent, watching the boy, who was truly badly injured. Meanwhile, elsewhere, everyone was silent, facing him. He adjusted his tie and simply dropped the body of his former disciple to the ground. All for one, who are you? Me? I'm you, and I know you believe me. He whispered with a slight smile. That man started laughing under the gaze of the entire League of Villains, who cautiously approached him, sensing the great power emanating from him. Back in the infirmary, Izuku leaned weakly against the wall, feeling Recovery checking his vital signs, while a girl beside her judged him with her eyes. Izuku, why are you staring at me so much, Mei? He asked confused. Mei, do you know me? She asked, and Izuku nodded. Izuku, you made my suit, all the gadgets you see here were made by you. Mei took what was left of Izuku's suit and, looking at the gloves, opened them for a moment, seeing what was inside, and she was slightly surprised. Mei, I haven't learned to make these circuits yet, how? Izuku, I come from a place just like this, I suppose the only thing that changes is the timeline. We were at the end of the first year, here they're just starting. Mei, tell me, how can a first year end up with these injuries? She asked. Izuku, there's a lot of history behind me, Hatsune, a history I don't want to remember, because I couldn't bear to do it. All Might, kid, listen, I spent 10 months with Miss Izumi. She showed me her kindness, what an excellent person she is, and how attentive and heroic she is with others. I know you're also like that, you're amazing too, but we need you to tell us what happened so we can help you. He said with a small smile, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. Mei, remember, don't say anything about the timeline, nothing that gives clues about what's going to happen, because if we change what destiny had predicted, serious consequences will occur. Understood? She asked, and Izuku nodded. Izuku, Shigaraki killed my mother and my girlfriend. All for One was chasing and mentally and physically harassing me. I left the academy so none of my classmates would get hurt, and I've been facing villains ever since, villains without cure or salvation. May, okay, it's a summary of your life. How long ago did all this happen? Izuku, my mother's death was a month ago. He said, leaving everyone in a chilling silence. Aizawa, and about your girlfriend? Izuku, 2 days ago, Shigaraki attacked me by surprise, and unable to touch me, he killed my girlfriend. I could have saved her, but for some reason, my boots prevented me from moving. It was a small mistake that cost her life. Izuku swallowed hard, looking at the ground, trying not to cry. May remained silent, quickly taking the boots and shaking them, hearing something bouncing inside. May, a loose spring got stuck in one of your steps, and that's where it prevented you from walking. Izuku, you know, now that I saw her again, it reminded me of the first time I talked to her. May, she's from the hero course? She asked, and Izuku nodded. Who is she? Izuku, Reiko Yanagi. She saw me, and I guess she's afraid of me. All Might, afraid? Izuku, remember the place I sent you to? That was the core of One for All. Those are the people who make up One for All, the souls that always follow me. And she can't distinguish between wandering souls and promised souls. All Might, that's why she shouted that you were a hero killer. Izuku nodded, squeezing his knees, and started to cry. He tried not to, but his sobs became stronger, escaping from his lips. Izuku, I promise to always protect her, and I'm terrified that she's afraid of me, that she won't let me explain things. I love Reiko, and I miss her so much. All Might just placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, who couldn't stop crying. Izuku, and seeing her there is like if the universe, after so much, gave me a second chance to be happy, to be calm, to free myself from this burden that torments me. All Might, you must tell her about all the risks of this power. She has to know everything this power entails. All Might, no, she doesn't have to know yet. Izuku, because of not being ready, I lost everything I fought for. Because of not training enough, I wasn't strong enough to not abandon my friends, to not save my mother, to not save her. Please, you have to tell her. I don't want her to go through what I went through. All Might remained silent and just nodded. Izuku returned the nod, and with a small smile, he began to wipe his tears. Izuku, I'm sorry, I got carried away. Aizawa, don't worry, I understand what you're going through, maybe it doesn't seem like it but. Izuku, no, I understand. You mentioned it to me. I'm sorry about her. Aizawa just nodded, watching as Izuku gathered some strength. Aizawa, what are you doing? He asked, confused. Izuku, I'm trying to activate One for All, but it's not responding. All Might, what do you mean it's not responding? Izuku, I don't know, I don't feel the power in me no matter how hard I try. He said worriedly. And once you kill Shigaraki, we can leave in peace. He sighed softly, falling silent for a moment. Izuku, I no longer have One for All. All Might, what? Izuku, it's gone, One for All no longer exists. Both fell silent, under the confused gaze of everyone present in that room. The moon shone brightly, though neither of them could see beyond their noses, they looked so calm seeing each other. Who would have thought the only one capable of charming the greatest villainess on this planet would be me, she whispered with a small smile, feeling All for One take her by the waist, dancing to a slow tune. All for One, it's the best we can do, being together is being unstoppable, and with your league, trust me, not even the brat can stop us. The villainesses dined a bit away from the center, watching as their boss, the most sought-after and powerful villain on the planet, laughed and lowered her head at what she was. All for One, the kid will fall, and we'll take care of him. And the slow ballad continued, and they both kept dancing in silence, illuminated by the moon slowly being covered by clouds in the dark sky. And on the other side of the city, at UA Academy, All Might, Aizawa, Nezumi, and May watched the boy run on a treadmill, trying to activate One for All with cables connected to his body. May, try again. Izuku nodded, attempting to activate One for All again. May just took some notes, while All Might tried to analyze why it might be failing, and Nezumi, a little closer to the boy, began to analyze him. Nezumi, he's an impressive specimen, she murmured, impressed. Izuku, am I a specimen? He asked with a small sweat drop. May, well, I can see that the energy that should be flowing at 100%, which in this case is your power, is only flowing at 10% and decreasing. You're losing your power. Izuku, yes, it's fading. All Might, did you inherit it? He asked. Izuku denied. Izuku, something happened. Something happened that resulted in Shigaraki becoming the new primary target of One for All. By killing him, I suppose I fulfilled the power's goal, and the carriers remaining inside me could disappear. May, and you don't feel bad? Izuku remained silent for a while, then with a small smile, he just nodded. Izuku, I saved Japan, I fulfilled the goal I had fought so hard for. They don't need me anymore in my world, and here I have another chance to be happy, another chance to be with her. They all nodded. May gathered her things and said goodbye, leaving only the three of them with the boy. Nezumi, well, did you notice too, right? She asked, and Izuku nodded. Izuku, yes, but I want the fewest people to know for now. With you three, it's more than enough. Aizawa, what do you mean? Nezumi, the molecular composition is altered, it's different from here. Nezumi approached the boy, stretching her arm a bit, she lightly tapped his tricep. Seeing the slow reaction, she nodded. Aizawa, and what does that mean? Nezumi, the boy possesses superior strength, maybe not as strong as All Might, but it's superior to quite a few top heroes, she whispered, impressing both heroes. Aizawa, is he a strong quirkless? He asked, and Nezumi nodded. Nezumi, that's the best description that can be given of him. Now, the issue is, what do we know about you? All Might, it's young Izumi. His male part comes practically from the future since his timeline is further ahead than ours. He has experienced things here that are yet to come, or at least that's what young Hatsum told us, he said, and Nezumi nodded. Nezumi, all right, by universal law, anything can happen, so for now, let's not let anyone see who you are. I hope a mask will suffice for that. It's incredible, she whispered with a small smile. Right at my academy, right on the first day, right now, young Midoriya, you're going to enter this academy. We'll give you a place to sleep, to eat, to train, and even to study. We'll hide you from the government for a while until we find a way to bring you into the light. Izuku, sounds good, but I want free entry and exit at any time from UA. I have things to do. Nezumi, things to do in a world that isn't even yours. Izuku, yes, I'm going to play with time, I'm going to fix everything from the root. That's why I need no one to meddle in my affairs. It's my only condition, he said with a small smile, and Nezu nodded. All Might, but Miss May said you can't do that, young, and I'm sorry, but I forbid you from leaving this place. Izuku just chuckled, followed by more laughter that gradually grew louder. He truly felt the humor in that statement. Izuku, you know, All Might, you would have scared me before. I would have listened to you, and I wouldn't have doubted you. All Might, I can still make you do it. He stood up from his seat, walking towards the boy, who with a small smile just raised his gaze a bit to see her. All Might, you're not going to play with time, you're not going to get into a bigger problem, and you'll stay here, safe from the government. Izuku, and if I don't? All Might, I'll have to stop you, and we'll lock you up in UA's holding cell. Izuku, oh yeah? You and how many others, muscle brain? All Might, understand that what we do is to help you. Even though I don't know you, I appreciate you. Even though I don't know what you've been through, I know you're like young Izumi. Izuku, exactly, you're right there. You don't know what I've been through, the hell this power has put me through. Do you remember Nana Shimura, right? All Might, yes, she was the first and only woman I could ever love. Izuku simply nodded. Izuku, Reiko Yanagi. She was my Nana. I lost her in the final battle against. All Might, all for one. Izuku, Shigaraki. I'm going to rid myself of that problem so that the one here won't suffer the consequences. And I'll do it by killing Shigaraki and all for one here. I won't leave anything of them. He stood up from his seat and began to walk towards the door. He needed a place to rest, and before crossing it, a hand stopped him. All Might, and what will you do after that? Run away? Turn yourself in, repentant for the deaths you've caused? He asked, for Izuku to deny. Izuku, I'll finally rest and see the sunrise of a grateful universe. All Might, no one should die for that. Izuku, death is an ambiguous concept, All Might. There won't be life if there's no death. There won't be death if there's no life. For life to continue, all for one must die, and for death to come to her. I'll have to intervene and kill her. All Might, you're not God. Izuku, no, I'm not God. I'm someone who has lost everything, and I don't care anymore, not even about what happens to me. He removed All Might's hand from his shoulder and closed the door forcefully, not realizing that he accidentally ended up breaking it along with the surrounding frame. Izuku, sorry. Nezumi, don't worry, I suppose you'll try to talk to them, so take this. Izuku caught what Nezumi threw him, and with a small smile, he saw it was a kitsune mask. Removing his metal muzzle, he put it on, still with remnants of the rabbit mask slowly coming off him. Aizawa, go explain some things, don't talk too much. I'll come later with clothes so you can bathe. Izuku, I guess they know where I'm going. They all nodded, and Izuku set off towards Class B's dormitories. In silence, they watched him go, disappearing into the darkness of the corridors and the night. All Might, it disappoints me to think that young Izumi might end up like this. Nezumi, young Midoriya, I want to do everything so that young Izumi doesn't suffer what he suffered. I suppose he feels connected to her, wants her to still have those eyes full of brightness that he lost to save them all. If you ask me, Midoriya is a hero, maybe not a conventional one, but an original one. Aizawa, I think the same, and I suppose he's not afraid to be here because he thinks he can finally be happy. Nezumi simply nodded, and All Might looked down, resigned to what was happening. Furthermore, at any moment she wanted, she could stop him. Those were the words swirling in her head. Under the trees and the light rain that began to beat down on Japan, all the girls inside the dormitories kept a slight watch on the boy with a mask in front of him. They knew he was the same one who appeared on the training field, by that costume that was tearing and being lost in the wind. Izuku, nice to meet you. Izuku wanted to enter the dormitories, but a small ice wall that reached up to his waist prevented him from doing so. Izuku, with a small smile, just looked at the wall in front of him. It brought back memories. Shuka, tell us who you are. Maybe the heroes said you're an ally, but for a man to appear out of nowhere, that's not normal. Katsumi, leave it. Shuka, what? Like he. Katsumi saw Izuku for a moment, who raised his finger to the lips of the mask, and Katsumi nodded. Katsumi, he's an ally. Shuka, how can you know that? She asked, annoyed. Katsumi, I just know. They were a little surprised by the calm tone in which the girl responded. Even though they had only known each other for a day, they recognized her explosive tone. Shuka, go in, but I'll keep an eye on you. Izuku just nodded, and with his hands up, he entered the dormitories, walked towards the sofa, and on that journey, that girl stood in front of him. Izuku, hi. Reiko remained silent, she could be seen behind the boy, a little scared, just took a few steps back, watching as Izuku approached her. Reiko, why you're the boy who showed up on the training field. Izuku just nodded, wanting to take her in his arms, take her away from there to explain everything, hoping she could love him. Izuku, I want. Reiko, Izuku. Izuku, no, Reiko. Okay, just breathe, relax. Reiko, I don't want to die. Izuku, you won't, Reiko, you won't, sweetheart, just don't move. Reiko, Izuku. Izuku, please don't move, I'll see how I can fix this. Reiko, thank you for loving me, she said with a tender smile. She tried to hug the boy, and Izuku extended his arms to try to do the same, and before he could touch her, her body disintegrated, right in his arms, hearing footsteps approaching him. Izuku, she had nothing to do with this, she was innocent. Why did you do it? He yelled, annoyed, facing Shigaraki, who in front of him just laughed. Shigaraki, because I knew it would be a great way to hurt you, Hero Deku. And amidst those laughs, Izuku began to hit him, but Shigaraki didn't stop laughing, didn't stop mocking him. He fell silent for a moment, his gaze lost on the ground, smiled calmly, and simply raised his hand. Izuku, I want to apologize for scaring you, he said with a small smile. Reiko, a little confused, just nodded. She could be seen behind Izuku, knowing that this boy had some kind of connection, but she didn't know what kind. Reiko, Reiko Yanagi, she introduced herself a little nervously, seeing how the aura of the boy in front of her brightened. For some reason, her introducing herself made him happy. And Izuku, with a small smile, just nodded.